Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. The gentle hum of the refrigerator filled the kitchen as Sarah stood in front of the open door, her eyes scanning the shelves. A sudden wave of nausea washed over her, causing her to grip the handle tighter. "Hey, hun, can you grab me the pickles?" Her voice wavered slightly as she called out to her husband. Heavy footsteps approached from the living room. "Sure thing, babe. You feeling okay?" Sarah turned to face her husband, Tom, as he entered the kitchen. Her eyes widened as she took in his appearance. Tom's usually trim figure seemed different. His t-shirt clung a bit tighter around his midsection, and his face looked slightly puffier than usual. "Tom, are you—" Sarah hesitated, unsure how to phrase her observation without sounding accusatory. Tom's brow furrowed as he reached past her into the fridge, retrieving the jar of pickles. "Am I what?" Sarah bit her lip, deciding to just come out with it. "Have you been gaining weight?" Tom's hand froze midway to handing her the jar. He glanced down at himself, then back up at Sarah with a confused expression. I don't think so. I haven't really been doing anything differently." Sarah took the pickles, setting them on the counter before turning back to her husband. She placed a hand gently on his stomach, feeling the slight swell there. "It's just, you look a bit rounder?" Tom's face flushed slightly. "Well, maybe I've been stress eating a bit. Work's been crazy lately, and with the baby coming..." Sarah nodded, understanding. She was about 4 months along, and the pregnancy had been taking its toll on both of them. "I get it. I just want to make sure you're okay." Tom smiled, wrapping his arms around her. "I'm fine, really. How about you? Still feeling queasy?" Sarah leaned into his embrace, breathing in his familiar scent. "Yeah, a bit. These cravings are driving me nuts, though, hence the pickles at 10 p.m. Tom chuckled, rubbing her back soothingly. "Well, eat up. Growing a human is hard work." As Sarah pulled away to open the pickle jar, she couldn't help but notice Tom wince slightly, his hand moving to his lower back. "You okay?" Tom nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, just a little twinge. Probably slept funny last night." Sarah eyed him suspiciously, but decided not to push it. She focused on satisfying her pickle craving, trying to ignore the nagging feeling that something was off with her husband. Over the next few weeks, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that Tom was experiencing some unusual changes. His appetite seemed to increase, matching her own pregnancy cravings. She'd catch him munching on odd combinations of foods late at night, and his usual morning coffee routine was replaced with herbal tea to settle his stomach. One evening, as they sat on the couch watching a movie, Sarah noticed Tom shifting uncomfortably. "What's wrong?" she asked, pausing the film. Tom grimaced, rubbing his lower abdomen.
"I don't know. I've been having these weird cramps all day. It's probably nothing."
Sarah's eyebrows shot up.
"Cramps? Like menstrual cramps?"
Tom let out a nervous laugh.
"What? No, of course not. That's ridiculous. It's probably just gas or something."
Sarah wasn't convinced. She reached out, placing her hand on Tom's slightly swollen belly. "Tom, I think we need to talk about what's been going on with you lately." Tom sighed, running a hand through his hair.
I know. I've been feeling off. But it's probably just stress, right? We're about to become parents. That's bound to mess with a guy's body a little."
Sarah shook her head, her concern growing. "This seems like more than just stress, honey. You've been gaining weight, having mood swings, cramps. It's like you're experiencing pregnancy symptoms right along with me." Tom's eyes widened as the realization hit him. That's not possible, is it?" Sarah shrugged, her expression a mix of worry and curiosity.
"I don't know, but I think we should see a doctor, just to be sure."
Tom nodded slowly, his hand unconsciously moving to rest on his stomach.
"Yeah, maybe you're right. It couldn't hurt to get checked out."
The next day, they managed to get an appointment with their family doctor, Dr. Anderson. As they sat in the waiting room, Tom's leg bounced nervously. Sarah placed a comforting hand on his knee, offering a reassuring smile. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson?" the nurse called out, ushering them into the examination room. Dr. Anderson greeted them with a warm smile. "Sarah, Tom, good to see you both. What brings you in today?" Sarah glanced at Tom, who seemed hesitant to speak. She took the lead, explaining the unusual symptoms Tom had been experiencing over the past few weeks. Dr. Anderson listened intently, his expression shifting from curiosity to understanding. As Sarah finished recounting their concerns, the doctor nodded thoughtfully. "Well, Tom, based on what you've described, it sounds like you might be experiencing what we call Cutie syndrome or sympathetic pregnancy." Tom's brow furrowed. "Sympathetic pregnancy? You mean I'm not actually pregnant, right?" Dr. Anderson chuckled. "No, you're not physically pregnant. Cutie syndrome is a condition where the partner of a pregnant woman experiences similar symptoms. It's more common than you might think, affecting up to 80% of expectant fathers in some cultures." Sarah's eyes widened. "Really? I've never heard of this before." The doctor nodded, turning to his computer to pull up some information. "It's not widely discussed, but it's a real phenomenon. The exact cause isn't fully understood, but it's believed to be a combination of psychological factors and hormonal changes." Tom leaned forward, intrigued despite his initial skepticism. "Hormonal changes? In men?" Dr. Anderson smiled. "Yes, believe it or not. Studies have shown that men's hormone levels can fluctuate during their partner's pregnancy. Testosterone tends to decrease, while prolactin and cortisol levels may increase. These changes can contribute to some of the physical symptoms you're experiencing." Sarah squeezed Tom's hand, a mix of relief and amazement washing over her. "So, is it dangerous? Should we be worried?" The doctor shook his head. "Generally, no. Cutie syndrome isn't harmful, and the symptoms usually resolve after the baby is born. However, it's important to monitor your health and manage any discomfort you might be experiencing." Tom nodded, processing the information. "So, what can I do about these symptoms? The weight gain, the cramps, the mood swings?" Dr. Anderson leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "Well, many of the same recommendations we give to pregnant women can be helpful. Eating a balanced diet, getting regular exercise, and managing stress are all important. For specific symptoms like cramps or nausea, we can discuss some safe remedies." Sarah couldn't help but laugh softly. "So, we're both basically pregnant?" The doctor smiled. "In a way, yes. It's actually a beautiful thing, Tom. Your body is showing empathy and connection with Sarah and your unborn child. Many couples find that it brings them closer together during the pregnancy." Tom's expression softened, a small smile tugging at his lips. "I guess that's one way to look at it. It's just a lot to take in." Dr. Anderson nodded understandingly. "Of course, it can be overwhelming, especially if you weren't expecting it. But try to see it as an opportunity to share this journey with Sarah in a unique way." As they left the doctor's office, Tom and Sarah walked hand in hand, both lost in thought. The diagnosis of Cutie syndrome had come as a surprise, but it also offered an explanation for the strange changes Tom had been experiencing. "So," Sarah broke the silence as they reached their car, "how do you feel about all this?" Tom leaned against the vehicle, his hand absently rubbing his slightly swollen belly. "Honestly, I'm not sure. Part of me feels relieved that there's an explanation, that I'm not going crazy. But another part of me feels, I don't know, embarrassed?" Sarah stepped closer, placing her hand over his. "Embarrassed? Why?" Tom sighed, struggling to find the right words. "It's just, men aren't supposed to go through this, you know? Pregnancy is your thing. I'm supposed to be the strong, supportive partner, not the one dealing with morning sickness and mood swings." Sarah's expression softened, her free hand coming up to cup Tom's cheek. "Oh, honey, this doesn't make you any less strong or supportive. If anything, it shows how connected you are to me and our baby.
You're literally feeling what I'm feeling. That's kind of amazing, don't you think? Tom met her gaze, a small smile forming on his lips. When you put it that way, it does sound pretty special. I just hope I don't get too many weird looks when my belly starts really popping out. Sarah laughed, pulling him into a hug. We'll get you some paternity pants. Maybe we can even coordinate our outfits for the baby shower. Tom groaned playfully, but his arms tightened around her. Don't push it, babe. I draw the line at matching maternity wear. As the weeks passed, Tom and Sarah found themselves navigating their shared pregnancy experience with a mixture of humor, frustration, and deep emotional connection. They developed a routine of comparing symptoms over breakfast, Tom often joining Sarah in her prenatal yoga sessions, much to the amusement of the other expectant mothers in the class. One evening, as they lay in bed, Sarah's hands resting on her growing bump, she turned to Tom with a mischievous grin. So, who do you think is bigger now? Me or you? Tom laughed, lifting his shirt to reveal his own swollen abdomen. Oh, you've definitely got me beat. But give me a few more weeks and I might catch up. Sarah's laughter faded into a contented sigh as she snuggled closer to her husband. You know, as weird as this whole situation is, I'm kind of glad we're going through it together. It makes me feel less alone. Tom wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. I know what you mean. I never expected to understand what you were going through so literally. But it's made me appreciate you and what you're doing even more. Sarah tilted her head up to look at him. Really? Tom nodded, his expression sincere. Absolutely. I mean, I always knew pregnancy was tough, but experiencing even a fraction of what you're going through? It's mind-blowing. You're incredible, you know that. Sarah felt tears welling up in her eyes, a mix of hormones and genuine emotion overwhelming her. You're pretty incredible yourself, Tom. Not many men would handle this situation with such grace. Tom chuckled, wiping away a tear that had escaped down Sarah's cheek. Grace? I don't know about that. Remember when I had that meltdown in the grocery store because they were out of the specific brand of pickles I was craving? Sarah giggled at the memory. Okay, maybe not always graceful, but you've been there for me every step of the way, even when you're dealing with your own symptoms. I couldn't ask for a better partner in this. As they lay there, limbs intertwined and bellies pressed together, both Tom and Sarah felt a deep sense of connection not just to each other, but to the life growing inside Sarah. Their shared experience, though unconventional, had brought them closer than ever before. As Sarah's pregnancy progressed, Tom's sympathetic symptoms continued to evolve alongside hers. Their shared experience had brought them closer than ever, but it also led to some unexpected developments in their relationship and Tom's self-expression. One lazy Saturday morning, Sarah stood in front of their bedroom mirror, frowning at her reflection. She tugged at the hem of her favorite maternity blouse, which now stretched tightly across her growing belly. Ugh, nothing fits right anymore, she grumbled, running a hand through her disheveled hair. Tom, who had been lounging in bed, sat up with a concerned look. What's wrong, hun? Sarah turned to face him, her expression a mix of frustration and resignation. I feel so uncomfortable in my own skin. Nothing looks good, nothing feels right. I know it's silly, but... Tom climbed out of bed, wincing slightly as he felt a familiar twinge in his lower back. He wrapped his arms around Sarah from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder as they both gazed into the mirror. You look beautiful, he murmured, planting a soft kiss on her cheek. Sarah leaned back into his embrace, a small smile tugging at her lips. You're sweet, but you don't have to lie to make me feel better. Tom's brow furrowed. I'm not lying. You're gorgeous, Sarah. You're growing our child. That's incredible. Sarah turned in his arms, studying his face. You really mean that, don't you? Tom nodded, his eyes sincere. Of course I do. And hey, if it makes you feel any better, I'm not exactly feeling like a fashion icon these days either. He gestured to his own swollen midsection, barely contained by his stretched-out t-shirt. Sarah's eyes lit up with an idea. "You know what? Let's go shopping. We both need some new clothes, and it might be fun to do it together." Tom hesitated for a moment, but the excitement in Sarah's eyes was contagious. "All right, why not? It could be interesting to see what paternity wear looks like these days." Later that afternoon, they found themselves in a maternity boutique, surrounded by racks of flowing dresses, stretchy pants, and billowy tops. Sarah immediately began browsing, pulling out items that caught her eye. Tom, feeling a bit out of place, awkwardly shuffled behind her. Sarah? I don't think they have a men's section here." Sarah turned to him with a mischievous grin. "Who says you need a men's section? Come on, live a little. Let's find something that fits you comfortably, regardless of what section it's in." Tom's eyes widened. "You want me to try on women's clothes?" Sarah shrugged, holding up a flowy tunic. "Why not? They're designed for comfort during pregnancy. And let's face it, you could use some comfort right now." Tom glanced around nervously, but the store was relatively empty. The sales associate seemed preoccupied with reorganizing a display. He sighed, realizing that his discomfort with the idea was outweighed by his desire to make Sarah happy. "All right, fine. But nothing too frilly, okay?" Sarah's face lit up with excitement. "Deal! Let's start with some basics." Over the next hour, Tom found himself trying on a variety of maternity wear. To his surprise, many of the items were indeed more comfortable than his current wardrobe. The stretchy waistbands accommodated his growing belly without digging in, and the loose-fitting tops provided ample room without looking overly baggy. As he emerged from the dressing room in a pair of black maternity leggings and a long navy blue tunic, Sarah clapped her hands in delight. "Oh, Tom, you look so comfortable. And dare I say, kind of cute?" Tom turned to look at himself in the mirror, his cheeks flushing slightly. The outfit was undeniably feminine, but he couldn't deny how good it felt on his changing body. I kind of like it," he admitted, smoothing his hands over the soft fabric. Sarah beamed, wrapping her arms around him from behind. "See? Sometimes it's good to step out of your comfort zone. And hey, if anyone gives you weird looks, just tell them it's for solidarity with your pregnant wife." Tom chuckled, leaning back into her embrace. "You know what? I think I will. Let's get this one." As they left the store with several bags of new clothes for both of them, Tom felt a mix of excitement and nervousness about his unconventional purchases. But seeing the joy on Sarah's face made it all worth it. Over the next few weeks, Tom gradually incorporated more of his new maternity wear into his daily outfits. At first, he only wore them around the house, but as his comfort grew, so did his confidence. One morning, as they prepared for a prenatal appointment, Tom hesitated in front of their closet. Sarah noticed his indecision and approached him with a gentle smile. "What's on your mind, babe?" Tom sighed, gesturing to the mix of men's and women's clothing before him. I kind of want to wear that floral maternity dress we bought, but is that too weird? For the doctor's office, I mean." Sarah's expression softened. She reached out and took his hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Tom, if you want to wear it, wear it. Dr. Anderson knows about your Kuvad syndrome. I'm sure she's seen stranger things." Tom nodded, a small smile forming on his lips. "You're right. And it is really comfortable." "That's the spirit," Sarah encouraged, pulling the dress from the hanger and handing it to him. "And hey, if you're going all in, why not try some of my makeup too?" Tom's eyes widened. "Makeup? I don't know, Sarah. Isn't that taking it a bit far?" Sarah shrugged, already moving towards her vanity. "Why not? It might be fun. And if you don't like it, you can always wash it off." Tom hesitated for a moment longer before nodding. "All right, let's give it a try, but nothing too dramatic, okay?" Sarah grinned, patting the chair in front of her vanity. "Don't worry, I'll keep it natural. Just a little something to enhance your pregnancy glow." As Sarah applied a light layer of foundation, followed by a touch of blush and a swipe of mascara, Tom found himself relaxing into the experience.
The gentle touch of the brushes and Sarah's concentrated expression as she worked made him feel cared for in a new and unexpected way. When Sarah finally stepped back to admire her handiwork, she couldn't contain her smile. "Oh, Tom, you look beautiful." Tom turned to face the mirror, his breath catching in his throat. The makeup was subtle, but it softened his features and brought out the warmth in his eyes. Combined with the flowing floral dress that draped elegantly over his rounded belly, he looked different, but not in a bad way. "Wow," he breathed, turning his face from side to side. I kind of like it." Sarah wrapped her arms around him from behind, resting her chin on his shoulder. "You look amazing. And more importantly, you look happy." Tom met her eyes in the mirror, a gentle smile playing on his lips. "I am happy. Thank you for encouraging me to try this." As they left for their appointment, Tom felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. He was stepping out into the world in a way he never had before, but with Sarah by his side, he felt ready to face whatever reactions might come their way. To their surprise and relief, their excursion was largely uneventful. They received a few curious glances, but most people seemed too preoccupied with their own lives to pay much attention to Tom's attire. At the doctor's office, Dr. Anderson raised an eyebrow but made no comment beyond a warm smile and a, "You both look lovely today." The positive experience emboldened Tom, and over the following weeks, he began to experiment more with his appearance. He started incorporating more feminine elements into his daily wardrobe, mixing and matching maternity wear with some of his existing clothes to create unique, comfortable outfits. Sarah fully supported his exploration, often offering tips on makeup application or helping him style his growing hair. They turned their morning routines into a shared ritual, standing side by side at the bathroom mirror, applying moisturizer and chatting about their plans for the day. One evening, as they prepared for a prenatal class, Tom stood in front of the full-length mirror, smoothing down the fabric of a flowy maxi dress. He had become quite adept at applying his own makeup, and today he had opted for a soft, smoky eye and a hint of pink lip gloss. Sarah appeared behind him, her own bump prominent in a form-fitting maternity top. "You look gorgeous, hun. That color really brings out your eyes." Tom smiled, turning to face her. "Thanks, babe. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm actually enjoying this whole experience. It's like I'm discovering a new side of myself." Sarah reached out to adjust the neckline of his dress. "I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I have to say, seeing you embrace this has been pretty amazing. You're glowing, Tom." As they made their way to the class, Tom found himself feeling more confident than ever. The other expectant couples had grown used to his unique style over the past few weeks, and many had even complimented him on his fashion choices. During a break in the class, Tom excused himself to use the restroom. As he washed his hands, another expectant father entered, doing a double take when he saw Tom. "Oh, sorry," the man stammered, clearly confused by Tom's appearance. Tom offered a friendly smile. "No worries, mate, just freshening up." The man hesitated, his curiosity evident. "If you don't mind me asking, why the dress and makeup?" Tom considered the question for a moment before responding. "Well, I've got a pretty severe case of Couvade syndrome. Sympathetic pregnancy. At first, I just wanted to be comfortable. But then I realized I actually enjoy expressing myself this way. It's been an unexpectedly positive part of this whole journey." The man's expression shifted from confusion to understanding. "Wow, that's actually pretty cool. My wife's been saying I don't understand what she's going through. Maybe I should try something like this." Tom laughed, patting the man on the shoulder as he moved to leave. "Hey, you never know. It might surprise you, and trust me, your wife will appreciate the effort." As Tom rejoined Sarah in the classroom, she noticed the extra spring in his step. "What's got you so chipper?" she asked. Tom recounted his conversation in the bathroom, and Sarah beamed with pride. "Look at you becoming a trendsetter. Next thing you know, all the dads in here will be rocking maternity wear."
They shared a laugh, but Tom's expression turned thoughtful. You know, Sarah, I've been thinking. Even after the baby comes, I might want to keep some elements of this. Not all the time, but it feels good to express myself this way. Sarah squeezed his hand, her eyes shining with love and acceptance. Tom, however you want to express yourself, I'm here for it. You've supported me through all of this. The least I can do is support you in return. As the instructor called the class back to order, Tom and Sarah settled in, their hands intertwined and resting on their respective bumps. Tom felt a sense of peace wash over him. This journey had taken an unexpected turn, but he wouldn't have it any other way. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.